Welcome back. With us right now is Gina Watson, and you know her well. She's been on many times with South Bay Jeweler, and we have talked about this before, that, or jewelry, excuse me, South Bay Jewelry. You are a certified gemologist, GIA gemologist.
Absolutely.
Before we go any further, let's talk about that, how important that is.
Well, it's a certification through the Gemological Institute of America. And basically, I'm an expert in appraising.
Right.
This would be for heirlooms and estates. But the gemologists, what they learn is they learn not only what the value of an item is,
right.
They learn at a level of not just identifying it, but because of its beauty and because of its origin,
right.
They can establish value.
Right.
So it's not just appraising, it's going as deep as you can into the beauty and the what the origin is, and that's what is going to define value. And that's what you need. The difference between appraiser and a gemologist appraising is what the insurance companies are going to require. So when you have an appraisal done, please make sure that it's done through a gemologist, because you may end up having to scrap that report to your insurance company, and they'll want you to seek out a gemologist.
Okay. All right, very good.
Yeah.
So now what we're talking about, the main reason you're here today is, well, all these different treasures, so to speak, that people may have.
That's right.
And when people look at things they've acquired over the years, there's the real value, there is a sentimental value, and when it gets down to that is, what do they want to do with these pieces that they have? As you have in front of you here, it is not limited to jewelry. It's or watches. You've got some nice watches there, but it's also candlesticks and tea sets and knives and forks and things.
And it's very liberating, Ken, when the client has the choices to make. Once we value all the items and we separate them, it's a wonderful freedom for them to be able to hear what their value is, and then the choices that they can make, so they can decide what they'd like to sell for themselves and put into their pocket that their heirs aren't going to want. We call that the unwanted jewelry.
Right.
And what they actually want to give to their heirs,
right.
to their loved ones. Not everything needs to go to your heirs.
No.
So the wonderful thing is when we have the 96-year-old lady or the 85-year-old, and we're separating all of these treasures, they feel so happy to know what's real, what's not real. So the choices that I want to talk to you today, and the listeners, are, first thing is decide what you want to sell and what you want to give to the heirs. That's the first choice.
Okay.
The second choice is, what of these items do we want to appraise, so that we can keep away from having family issues where they're going to fight and they don't understand value. So last month I spoke to you about appraisals, how important they are, because basically the treasurer, or excuse me, the person in charge of your estate, the executor, could actually sell the items out from underneath you if the family members do not get along.
Okay.
Yes. So the wonderful thing is, if you do the appraisal, it could eliminate strife for generations. You will be the hero.
Okay.
So that's the second choice.
Important, for sure.
It is. The next choice is going in, and if you find a wonderful piece of jewelry that you want to give your daughter, and it's a beautiful engagement ring, your wedding ring, a lot of times we find during our legacy consultation that it's shot. It needs work.
Right.
The prongs are falling apart. And just recently, there was a lady that came in that was gifted an item, a beautiful 1.5-carat diamond. But it took a lot of money for her to actually have the whole thing rebuilt. There was a giant chip in the diamond, which had a cleavage which would break the stone. So we were able to turn it, retip it. But the burden of that went on that young lady.
Right.
And it cost her hundreds of dollars to have the ring done. So in the legacy, we want to make sure that we guide you and let you choose the right
Okay.
things for your family members.
Right. That's a very good point.
Yeah, so that would be another choice that you have. Another one that we're doing recently is we have a wonderful lady that has a beautiful sapphire, and we're reconditioning the ring, restyling it to
Okay.
something more modern. So these are different things that we're going to help you with the Legacy program.
And I think probably nowadays the person may find that their loved ones, their offspring, and they don't want these things anymore. It's
So true.
you know, it's different, I think, than when I'm sure you find this much different than it was years and years ago, where that was a natural thing to, even china sets. I mean, who uses china anymore? Not many. We have a nice set at home that was my wife's grandmother's. I don't even think we get it out for the holidays anymore because you have to hand wash it,
That's
you
right.
know.
That's right.
And while this stuff is nice, there are people who are just like, you know what? We'd rather have the money, to be frank.
Absolutely.
Am I right?
They would. And
Yeah.
the children, what we do is we look at the patterns.
Yeah.
A lot of the clients, I will ask them to text me the picture so I can do a little research for them.
Okay.
We're doing that right now with some patterns to see if they're sellable, because we
Okay.
do sell online.
Right.
One of the choices that we give you is not just selling outright, but to get you more money by doing a consignment.
Okay.
Because we have such a large presence through the web world now, and we're a 5-star rating. This is another choice besides our busy store to help you sell items.
Okay.
But absolutely, Ken, I don't know whether or not we're just living in a world where we have so much, because when I do legacies, the boxes and the amount of items that come in are amazing.
Yeah.
And then I see scenarios where the heir comes in and she's overwhelmed with boxes and boxes. Now, a lot of that is of value, where you would think it's junk. That's why it's liberating when we can
Okay.
sort through these things and guide you.
Right, right. When someone does bring in a box of stuff, like your treasure box over there, that's a lot of stuff to look at.
Absolutely.
How do you go about it? And what do you charge by the piece? Do you charge by the collection?
Okay.
How does that work?
I'm glad you asked. The Legacy program is completely free.
Okay.
It's the choices that you make that we're going to
Okay.
charge for our services, and we're very
Okay.
reasonable on those. But what I
Okay.
want to do is answer your question. We actually take everything out, and we're very quick at knowing how to sort because we have over 30 years experience.
Right.
And so does my staff. They're trained in this. So we take the sterling silver, we take the non-silver, we separate those. We take costume jewelry. That's items that are sellable and things that are just, we're going to ask you to donate it or give it to the family, children, or whoever,
Right.
whoever you
Right.
have. So then we get to gold, the unwanted gold, which needs to go into the elder's pocket. They need to spend that.
Right.
Because the children are going to come in to us and sell it anyway.
Right.
So
Right.
I'd like to guide them to do that, which most of the time they're very happy. Yesterday, a $300 check to a woman that was shocked, and she was a little bit, drawn to, oh, Gina, I don't know, I'm emotionally tied. I said, well, how long has it been since you've worn this bunch of gold chains, yellow gold? She goes, about 12 years. And I looked at her and she goes, it's time to sell it.
Yeah.
So we have to become unattached at some point. And that's the liberating thing, that you're actually going to teach your heirs that through your example
Right.
to do the right thing that they're going to learn how to do
Yeah.
for their
That's a good
family
point.
members. So you're going to go down as the hero in your family. And that's what we wanted to strive with the Legacy program.
Do you ever find that costume jewelry, because of its, maybe at the time, the decade it was made, has become more valuable than the real stuff, so to speak, because it's, it goes back to a certain designer of the 1930s or 40s,
Right.
who, at a time they were designing things that were affordable, but they've become rare enough because people would just, throw them away or whatever. that
Absolutely.
They become valuable.
Well, yesterday I did a Legacy where we had the beautiful rhinestone jewelry, and then we had the Coco Chanel looking items. Well, guess what? The rhinestone jewelry was really big in the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
They're not anymore.
Right.
So I have a little harder time, you know, helping that client. Whereas the Coco Chanel, that's a little bit more drawing,
Right.
and that might have a closer buyer. So it's a time factor.
Okay.
So in a lot of instances, we say, you know, let's keep it, you keep it, and then think about those people in your family that are getting married, and maybe give it to them, a young bride that might want to wear it. But it
Okay.
is a little bit dated now.
Yes, okay. And that, you know, that makes sense, of course.
Yeah.
As far as people bringing things in, what if they have a lot of stuff, they don't have a way, you know, it might be hard for them to bring it in. Do you have folks that can help them out?
Yes.
Okay.
We absolutely will. I've been to many homes, many garages, where the amazing things in the boxes that I help the family members with the most fine, you know, china and
Yeah.
crystal. I mean, beautiful
bet,
named crystal. We were able to help sell those things. The family is overwhelmed. And safety deposit boxes for those individuals that don't feel secure taking them out. I'll go to the box with them and meet with
Okay.
them. And there's no pressure, Ken, because they're going to use my service as one of those choices they'll come. So the Legacy program is to teach you and our staff and others that this is something that's going to benefit the individual. It's going to give them liberation, feelings. They'll understand what they have, and then they can choose whatever service they'd like to do.
As far as helping them out that they want it appraised for insurance reasons, maybe you have an individual that comes in and like, you know what, we've never put this on our insurance. We don't want to get rid of it.
Right.
You can help them out with that too,
Yes.
right?
The appraisals, there's two types, for insurance purposes and for inheritance purposes.
Okay.
So when the trustee comes to us, or the family member that's elderly comes to us, we try to do the inheritance purpose.
Okay.
For those that need insurance, it's a raised price,
Okay.
and that's going to go, the value is raised, and that's for insurance purposes. So
Okay.
we're familiar with all of those needs, and that's something we'll guide you with as we speak with you.
Okay, and I would imagine for insurance purposes, it's a little bit more.
It's higher.
It's more by
is.
the book, so to speak. I mean, you've got to
It
really
is.
make sure you're giving the insurance company everything that they require.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we ask that you have any old documentation on that
Okay.
old diamond to bring it in, because we need to look at that.
Yeah.
Recently, we did 2 gemstones that we had to actually do an RI and test to see if it was actually a sapphire, because they had bought it overseas. We were very challenged by it, because it didn't look like a sapphire. It was purple. It didn't have any of the microscopic inclusions that we were used to. The IRA was perfect on it. But at the end of the day, we had to ask that client to please go to the lab at GIA, which we'll do this as a second to us, and which gemologists will do before we documentate what we want to actually put on paper.
Okay.
So if we're challenged by something, we're not afraid to let our clients know
Okay.
and guide them to do more than what
Okay.
we can do for them.
All right, very good. And you are located in Aliso Viejo, right?
Yes, we are. We're nearly 20 years there. We've been in Oak Brook Village since 1986. We moved our store, our second location there. So we're next door to OPA.
Oh, sure.
And it's a very well known center. So please call us with a Legacy appointment. We'd be more than happy to speak to you.
All right, and the website is?
SouthBayJewelryOC.com.
You got to remember the OC.
Orange County.
Right, yeah, got to remember that part. Good to see you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Ken.
very much.
It's a
Always a
pleasure.
pleasure.
Thank you.
And even if you just want to pop in and have a ring cleaned or whatever else you may need, she has a great staff there. They'll help you out. right?
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank
good
you,
to see you.
Ken.
We'll be back.